Hi, and welcome to the Child Care Aware of Minnesota Legislative Update for Tuesday, April 29th. This is for action during the week of April 21st through 25th. So the legislature returned from their break on Monday afternoon of April 21st and got right to work. Just a few updates for you from where we left off. I'll remind you that the full recap of where we stood as of the spring break is on our legislative page on the website, and I would encourage you to take a look at that. That includes all the details of each of the bills, so I'm not going to spend time on the elements of the bills today, just give you a quick progress update. So first of all, and this will be related to the bills that are, of course, containing elements that impact childcare and early childhood. On Monday, the House Ways and Means Committee took up the agriculture bill, so House File 2446, and did pass that and refer it to the floor. There were no substantive changes related to our work on that bill. The piece that is in there is funding for farm to school and early childhood. And what I did learn from listening to testimony that I had missed before was this is partially in response to federal cuts to that program. So while it's good to have a little bit of additional funding, it's unfortunately not enough to make up for some of the cuts. On Wednesday of last week, April 23rd, the Senate Tax Committee heard the Omnibus Health and Human Services Bill, Senate File 2669, Senator Wickland. No substantive changes were made, and that was passed and re-referred to the Committee on Finance in the Senate, and that actually will be coming up the week here of April 28th. On Thursday was quite a busy day. The House Ways and Means Committee heard the Children and Families Bill. So that's House File 2436. In this case, however, the bill was laid over. I think the intent is to wait and get the health bill from the House and combine them so that it matches up with Senator Wickland's Health and Human Services bill. Unfortunately, the health bill has not completed its work on the House, and so we are in a holding pattern while we wait for that to be completed and make its way to Ways and Means. Also last Thursday, the Senate Finance Committee took up the Jobs and Workforce Development Bill. That's Senate File 1832 from Senator Champion. Again, no changes, and that has been passed on to general orders and is going to await a hearing on the floor. And finally, on Thursday, that same House Agriculture bill that was heard in Ways and Means on Monday was heard on the House floor. This is the first omnibus bill to make it off the floor this session, and it did pass the House on a vote of 130 to 3. So only 3 people not voting for that bill, so very popular, and we got one off the floor now. So what's next? Well, we're waiting for some of the bills that have been heard in the Finance Committee and in the Ways and Means Committee to make their way to the House. So I'm sorry, to the floor. So probably a lot of floor votes this week. Still waiting on a House Jobs and Workforce Development Committee bill. The bill that's kind of sitting as a placeholder doesn't have the content. So we are, of course, waiting to see if that will line up with some of the elements that were in the Senate bill related to childcare and workforce. And still no definitive word on House or Senate tax bills or bonding bills, although they are having hearings, and there has been discussion of at least having a bonding bill this year. So it's always kind of amazing when you think about there's only really 3 weeks left now before the May 19th deadline, but things have a tendency to pick up speed. So next week we will have an update on whatever has taken place, and hopefully by then we'll start to see some beginnings of some conference committees being named. So I will be back again next week to give you another update on progress. Thanks so much for joining us.